What was your "I'm dating a complete idiot" moment? What kind of bird is a ham was hard to ignore. When he ran out of gas while in line at the Starbucks drive-thru, right across the street from the gas station. I told him to get gas first because his car was low, but he really needed that iced caramel macchiato. I asked why he didn't listen to me, and he replied with, "I thought I could make it." He ended up pushing the car through the drive-thru and got his coffee while doing so, then parked the car in the lot and called a tow to tow it back home, instead of the gas station across the street. No, he did not get any gas that day. He waited until his dad got off work to bring a 3-gallon jug of gasoline because I refused to enable that shit. I mean, they even sell those cans at the gas station. He could have walked across the street, bought a can, bought the gas, and been done with the whole thing in a fraction of the time it takes to wait for a tow truck. That's so dumb. Thank you for pointing out this shockingly not very well known fact. I have seen many people tow an empty car to a gas station nearby rather than simply walk to the gas station and get the 1-gallon gas can they all have in the gas, put a gallon in the tank and drive to the station to fill up the rest of the way. It's funny to me that most people are focusing on him choosing Starbucks over gas. But I've been there where you're low on gas and you're also super tired and in need of coffee. And in those moments I get the fucking gas first. What an idiot. Almayo, fuck this dude. When he asked my grandmother if she'd ever had children. How do oil companies know where to build gas stations? She thought that there was a gasoline bubble underground that they would tap into and run a line straight to the pump. She was working for Chevron. She had a new telescope and thought it would be really cute to check out the stars after a date one night. I don't remember the full conversation, but at some point I joked about us being stuck together on this giant ball in space. She looked through the telescope again and said, "So you believe that, huh?" I just stared at her blankly because I was afraid of that question going any further. Anyways, happy to share that we didn't last long, but did you guys know that there's totally a lot of evidence that our planet is probably not round? What did she think she was looking at through the telescope? A lot of flat earthers believe that the rest of the planets are spheres, but that Earth is uniquely flat. Yeah, I don't get it either. I told him I had to leave in 1.5 hours. He told me that was oddly specific and I should have rounded up to 2 hours instead of 1 hour and 50 minutes. I clarified that I had to leave in 1 hour and 30 minutes, and he said that's actually 1.3 hours. So my place of work uses hundredths to express minutes, so 1.5 would be an hour and a half, 1.75 an hour and 45 minutes, etc. Coworkers will also express time as 1.3 as in 1 hour and 30 minutes, or 1.15 meaning an hour and 15 minutes. It's infuriating. I never know what they actually mean. Do you work with lunatics? She seemed to be confused about the difference between flamingos and penguins, but insisted they weren't real because she'd grown up in Alaska and never seen any. I once convinced a coworker that flamingos weren't real, just silly made-up creatures for lawn ornaments. A bright pink bird? Really? It took her all day to realize I was messing with her, lol. My chemistry professor had a plastic one taped to the wall and would occasionally pull it down and pet it while lecturing. I never did figure out if he was actually insane or just trying to scare the bejesus out of his students. Dude knew his subject though. Wait, the Romans are from Rome? My grandfather was from Rome. I had a boyfriend that was like, "Your grandfather's Roman?" And he thought I meant the Roman Empire. Even though the correct term is Roman, no one thinks of the city. So now I always go, "My grandmother was Sicilian and my grandfather was from Rome." I used to have a friend in New York whose parents were both Italian, and he used to say, "My mother is Sicilian and my father is a regular slice." He played a lot of COD and got a tattoo based on a cool design he saw in the game. It was the Nazi eagle. I had a friend. He was very nice, but not really smart. He told me he got a new good game. It's Battlefield, and I think it takes place during Vietnam. The game was Battlefield 1. WW1. I think more people need to learn some damn history. And geography. Senior year of high school, I'd been offered a full-ride college scholarship for athletics. My girlfriend at the time was always annoyed with how much time I dedicated to my sport in a particular conversation. I made my case that without the sport, I probably wouldn't be able to go to college, and even if I could, I'd be riddled with debt. The scholarship was a life changer for me. She got mad that I called the scholarship a life changer and demanded that I quit my sport so we could hang out more. We broke up about 90 seconds after that comment. My brother-in-law received a full ride to a decently sized college 3 hours away. He decided to stay in his hometown for his high school girlfriend instead. She broke up with him as soon as she graduated. That is sad, honestly. I mentioned that I loved stargazing on camping trips because it would actually get dark enough to see the Milky Way. Apparently I was lying to him, as it's impossible to see the Milky Way since we're in it. Same dude also refused to believe that huckleberries existed. Again, this came up when I was talking about picking and eating huckleberries on a hike. He had to interrupt me to tell me I was wrong because huckleberries were made up. Everyone says dumb things sometimes. What was remarkable was how confidently he went out of his way to convince me I was wrongly, and then got upset at me for bickering when I didn't immediately agree that something I'd been looking at, or eating, for most of my life was in my imagination. Having grown up, a long time ago, watching Huckleberry Hound, I was astonished to learn as an adult that huckleberries actually existed. Your story about the Milky Way reminded me of one of my astronomy professors in college. He had grown up in NYC and got his PhD at Columbia in theoretical astronomy, but thought he should do some observational astronomy just to get a feel for it. He went to McDonald Observatory in Texas, and noticed that, though the sky was perfectly clear overhead, there appeared to be clouds rising, very slowly, in the east. It was an hour or more later that he realized he was seeing the Milky Way for the first time in his life. For my part, on my first observing trip to South America, it had been cloudy a few days, when finally the clouds parted overhead and I thought someone was shining a monstrous spotlight through the clouds. Nope, it was the center of the galaxy. This was my ex. He'd say something incorrect and then defend it to the death. Our last argument was about whether cows could smell blood. I said they could and he said, "No, they can't. Cows are stupid." I was going into anaphylactic shock at a restaurant due to unknown allergy. My throat was closing and I had no neck due to swelling. He asked if I wanted to go outside to get some air. We were sitting on the patio. Okay, this one made me laugh. Glad you didn't die. I'd probably pass this one off as panic, but it's still funny in hindsight. Her, look at the moon. That ain't right. Me, what do you mean? Her, you're not supposed to see the moon during the daytime. The government put that there to spy on us. Me, you're right, honey, but keep quiet or they'll hear you. And don't ever say that out loud again, especially in front of my friends and family. I read this to my wife and asked her what was her moment. She replied, "There's been so many, it's hard to pinpoint just one. We've been together 40 years. I was cutting plywood on my table saw. She came up behind me when I didn't know she was there and decided to help me by pushing a sheet when I was already pushing it through. It lurched, and I damn near lost a finger. She had no idea why I was angry at poor little her. That is really beyond stupid. Let me help you drive by reaching across and stomping on the gas pedal. There's no way the Earth spins once a day. If it spun that fast, we would all fly off." The way it's worded makes me think he thought that the Earth sits still all day and at some point just spins a full 360 degrees without warning. 6 p.m.? Grab hold of something, time to spin. She asked me if she had to divorce her first husband before we got married. Rachel Jackson didn't have to divorce her first husband before marrying Andrew. And Andrew Jackson simply shot anyone who called his wife a bigamist. I opened a drawer in my bathroom and noticed a bunch of Q-tips scattered all over my hairbrush, towels, etc. When I asked him about it, he said he dumped all my Q-tips out and threw away the box they came in to help me save space in the drawer. Only after a year and a half of dating did he reveal to me that the world is flat. We live in a dome, the sky is a projection, and all the horizon-related experiments to confirm Earth's roundness is logically flawed. He knows me and my dad have fancy telescopes, and do astrophotography, and stargaze together on a literal observatory on our roof. Fucking wasted my time. Yet it always feels bad when you invest so much into a hobby only to realize that it was all fake. All those hours spent manually stacking photos of the stars just to realize I was taking pictures of some ginormous screen light years away. Dude I was dating turned out to be the worst kind of know-it-all because his facts were mostly wrong. He told me not to tell him that because he doesn't like it. It's been done before and it's not true. I hadn't encountered an incident of it yet, so I memorized that, but didn't think about it much even if I thought it was weird to tell me that. Fast forward a few days, we were sitting at dinner at a restaurant talking about whatever when peripherally something about human organs floats by and that the pH of the stomach is about 3. He looks at me with a smile of deep condescension and says, "The pH of the stomach is 10. He said that so final and with such an air of superiority that I stopped mid-sentence. You don't want to be rude back, and mistakes happen anyway, so I tried to tell him politely that he might have a false memory there or a teacher in his past might have mixed something up. I just didn't want to embarrass him more than he already did himself in public. But he was committed to this. My name, I know the pH of the stomach is 10. You're wrong. I told him to please look it up, because I'm a biologist and I'm confident enough in my education. He did, and he was wrong. There were a couple similar incidents after this one. Hilariously, when we broke up, one of his gripes was, "I believe you think I'm stupid." In reality it was that and the fact he was not only wrong, but malicious and utterly confident in both. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.